The setup is not the most perfect setup, but we're trying to push through the perfectionist. If you're a creative person, entrepreneur who's always been wanting to make content, maybe you know exactly what I'm talking about. But in 2026, we are embracing that middle journey between being a beginner and having the most epic content to ever exist. So here we are in the middle. I think this is a great place to be. I was talking to somebody on their podcast about how a lot of people like to skip that step. But if we were to expect ourselves, or if our audience was to expect ourselves to create the best high quality cinematic videos or podcasts in like these thousands of dollar studios with teams, we skipped a step. We're always going to have to meet those expectations. And so being in the middle, that's a fun place to be. And that's where we are. This is the first solo entry that I'm creating for my podcast Dear Creator, but also you are probably watching this on YouTube. On Dear Creator, I like to invite guests on to tell their stories, explain their shifts, and share their journeys in their business or their identities. And it's more documentary style where, I ask questions, but it's mostly the guest speaking on their own experiences and perspectives. So I thought it would be cool to do maybe monthly solo entries where I do kind of like a recap of the month from my own lens. If you're new here, Dear Creator is a documentary styled podcast about personal and creative evolution. So it's like the real identity shifts, the creative births, internal breakdowns, intentional rebuilds that shapes you as a creative creator, founder, entrepreneur. It's raw, reflective, informative, insightful. I want it to be real. We don't like to pretend that we have it all together when we don't. And that's like a key message that I want to amplify with this podcast. So the purpose of this podcast is to really document and share the art of evolution as a creative business owner or founder or creator. And I think it's really interesting that everyone's stories and beliefs and perspectives and skills are a bit different, but they might sell similar services or products. It just goes to show that you can sell similar products and offers as other entrepreneurs or service providers, but have a different purpose or reasoning behind why you do that or how you do it. It's important to share. A lot of the content that we see on social media now is either like highly curated, highly produced, like teams are making podcasts. Founders who've made millions of dollars are hosting podcasts in a studio with high-tech equipment and other quote successful entrepreneurs, but we typically see all of the same people on all of the big podcasts now. So I think it's time to hear from the people who haven't been given a platform to share their voice, to share their purpose and mission. And I think it's really important to give somebody that platform. So that's why I'm doing it. And it's also just fun for me, honestly. I think I've been able to really lean into this podcast because I'm having fun with it. I love to edit the podcast and create the content for it and everything too. Today I'm going to be doing a 2025 recap, and then I'm also going to be sharing some January favorites. I don't know about you, but 2025 felt like a roller coaster and it just seemed like from other content and creators I've been following, it has felt that way for them as well. There were high highs and low lows, but honestly, there's so much. Oh, she's turning around. Leia's turning around. There's so much to learn from a year that has like high highs and low lows, like good and bad. And it'd be kind of a disservice to not look back and like give ourselves time to look back, see what worked well, what didn't, what served us, what didn't, and what we could learn from them. I've always been the type of person to believe that if you failed, you learned something. it's not necessarily a bad thing. You learned how to move forward because what you did didn't work. So giving yourself time for that during this time of year is really important. I also heard that it was the year of the snake in Chinese zodiac, which I honestly don't know much about, but I find that fascinating because I've been explaining to people for a while now that I feel like 2025 was the year of shedding, a lot of shedding. But thanks to Google, Google told me the snake in Chinese zodiac means. So just to quickly tell you, it's all about like shedding old patterns or it's a period of powerful and deep transformation and completion. So, what is helpful, I believe, is to reflect and let go of what no longer serves you and prepare for a fresh new cycle, stepping into more of an authentic and wiser self. So, here we are in 2026. For me personally, that felt really aligned. That sounded like what I was working through and working on and what I've experienced. And now in 2026, it's going to be the year of the fire horse, which again, thank you, Google, for telling me everything about this. But just to summarize, it has themes of passion, bold action, independence, and vibrant energy. I love that. All right. So let's get into the recap of 2025. I didn't really want this to just be about me. I want you to be able to walk away with something that's inspiring, insightful, whatever. So I did include some notes on that to help. But here we go. So let's get into the 2025 recap. I split this all up in quarters. So, quarter one of last year was all about saying yes to new things and cleaning up the foundations of my business after I pivoted. I invested in learning sales. And honestly, if you're avoiding any sort of sales training or learning how to sell your services or products, maybe because it feels a little icky or too salesy for you, I'd honestly encourage you to reconsider it because your business needs it. So, understanding how to communicate value of my products, services, my expertise, and credibility has really changed a lot for me. I also got really consistent and intentional with a writing practice because that's something that I believe helps you with everything else in your business, and it helps you articulate your ideas and perspectives as you move forward in your entrepreneurial journey. You learn so much, you talk to a bunch of different people, you see perspectives and hot takes online all the time. So it's really helpful to be able to write through how you feel or what you think in relation to that, but also any new original ideas that do come up when you're just living life. It's so beneficial to just like write it down, and when you do like a writing practice, you have some prompts or ideas to practice. I also believe a big lesson I learned in quarter one is sometimes you just need to pick the thing and start, even if it's not perfect. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and creators hold themselves back because they have so many ideas. And yes, we're always going to have ideas, but how can you just like choose one and start it instead of staying in one place? Around this time, I was also applying for jobs, client work, recording podcast interviews, basically throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what would stick. Early in the year is a great time to explore before you commit. When I was applying for jobs, I think I was just trying to find ways to get closer to some money goals. So I don't see it as a bad thing when you're an entrepreneur looking for extra income. I think it's really smart too because it relieves a lot of pressure and stress on your business, and you can really build it intentionally how you want to. But I have a lot of goals for my life, and I wasn't making money as fast as I would have liked. So, looking for other solutions, I think, is a more proactive way of getting closer to achieving those goals than to just sit around and hope that a client would come up. So in quarter two, I finally created my first digital product called Pivot Proof. And I was talking about pivoting in kind of a new angle because in the past, I would talk about pivoting as in restructuring your offers, restructuring your business model, and your lifestyle operations, things like that. But when it comes to pivoting, a lot of people wouldn't go through the full transformation because they weren't gaining visibility or marketing themselves during that pivot. So, what Pivot Proof is all about, it's helping you establish a content plan to communicate clearly and consistently the changes that you're making to your audience. Your audience doesn't know that you're going through a pivot unless you tell them and communicate it to them. Luckily, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially like solo entrepreneurs, they're building personal brands online. So this is actually really, really beneficial for them because when you build a personal brand, people aren't just looking to work with you because of your skills or your services. They're looking to work with you because of your values and perspectives, your style, the way that you carry yourself, the raw and real behind the scenes that you share, and they find that like connection point with you. So Pivot Proof is really helping you create a content plan so you can pivot your business as many times as you want to and still make money, get clients, build a brand. So that was really fun to create. I was super energized to create it as well. And I was really proud of the outcome. I got 15 people to sign up, and that was huge. So if you've been thinking about like productizing your knowledge or skills, expertise, here's what I learned. You don't need it to be perfect. You just need to launch it. Like I said, I got 15 people signed up for it. That felt amazing. But more importantly, I learned so much about what my audience actually needed. I was marketing that course for almost like 2 months before I actually launched it. So that helped me refine my messaging as I went about building it, and even getting some feedback as I was marketing the course before it was even done or ready to go. I was able to develop the curriculum and resources to help the people who were interested in buying. I also hired support for content strategy and coaching, which helped. It was huge, honestly, because if there's anything about me, sometimes I do need that external motivation and support. So I guess like it just goes to show like you really don't need to do things by yourself, or you don't need to do everything alone. Having some sort of partner in your business is so helpful, and it doesn't have to be forever. I think we worked together for like 2 or 3 months, and yeah, it was just helpful to stay consistent and really push me to market myself. And I think it was during the summer as well. So I don't know about you, but in the summer, sometimes I just want to disappear and go frolic around. But having the coach as like accountability and also help me come up with content ideas and things like that was so beneficial. And then in quarter two, I also started restructuring my day to day operations. So I split my day into like 3 sections, which helped me stop feeling like I was always on. I kind of had like a reset in between each section of my day, and I was able to easily prioritize certain tasks. So anything that was high priority or something that wasn't really easy for me to do, I did at the very beginning of my day, or maybe it just required a lot more energy. That was like my focus section of my day, where it was like do not disturb, and I still go by this. And then the second part of my day is more so of like creative projects or client projects, things that don't need too much brain power. And then the third part is more of like admin, like closing shop type of tasks, like preparing for the next day, sending out any emails or checking emails, replying to anybody on social media, things like that. And aside from that, I was actually starting to say yes to some more like creative projects. I have a background in photography, and a friend reached out to me to come out to Ohio and shoot her engagement photos, which that was super fun. And then I also was testing out some UGC content creation services with some local businesses. And I feel like that really helped me establish what I wanted to move forward with for the next half of the year. I feel like a big takeaway from Q2 was to build structure around my creativity and my life, not just creating structure to like box myself in. Quarter 3 was difficult mentally and physically for me. I had a lot of personal life things going on. So I was like, I need to just do the most easy, simplest thing to make money right now. And if that means that my business needs to pause for a little bit or just slow down, that's okay. I'll figure it out. So I actually interviewed for a part-time marketing role because I needed that stability. And I made the tough call to close my group program. Honestly, if you're holding on to something that's not working anymore, I just want to give you like that permission to just let it go, because forcing something can do a lot of harm. I was running my group program Soft Pivot for almost 2 years, I believe. Time flies, honestly. That program changed so much over the last couple of years to the point where it just made more sense for me to offer Soft Pivot as a framework or methodology for entrepreneurs who are looking to like restructure their business and their offers. The whole like constant launch cycle of trying to get people in each cohort, or even like the information, I feel like I was just adding and adding and adding more depending on who I was working with. It just was too much for me. Maybe in the future, I'll host some sort of group program or course or something like that. But I truly believe self pivoting is a personalized approach. Not everyone soft pivots in the same way. I also leaned into a lot of support. So I went into therapy a lot more. I had a lot of like peer mentorship calls, which essentially is you make friends who are in your industry or similar industries, and you get on a call for some coffee, talk about your business, and get some like mentorship and coaching from them. It's super helpful. And I was also focusing on myself mentally, just giving myself time to rest, be close with family, and just get some fresh air, honestly. Around this time, my dog was diagnosed with cancer, which put a lot of things into perspective or on halts. And yeah, I want to normalize that just because you pause your business for a little bit doesn't mean it can't reboot. Rest and regulation is strategic for your business and for your brand and for your clients. Having more rest or going slow doesn't mean you're weak or your business isn't going to be successful, because ultimately you can't create or provide the best solutions if your tank is empty. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of learning opportunities in quarter 3, a lot of emotional shit, but I think situations like that really do make you stronger in the end. Lastly, quarter 4. So by Q4, things started like clicking into place. I settled into my marketing position, which actually became more of like a client versus a like job. I think it's what, a W-2, or, you know, like where you get like a paycheck. I'm a contractor, which actually was really nice, because then even though I was kind of slowing down in my business, I was able to show income for my business. So that was actually a plus. It actually gave me more bandwidth to get excited about my business again. I released so much pressure from making money because I have a consistent income. I have a consistent paycheck every other week. So I decided to pursue YouTube during this time. I landed my first brand collaboration on TikTok because a few of my videos went viral. TikTok is just where I share a lot of like personal lifestyle things, more so things that are like kind of random, honestly. I'm probably attracting the wrong audience on there, but it's fine. It's just for fun. But I share like some of my favorite books or bars I like to go to in Chicago, things like that. And so after I went viral, I got a message from a local business who was looking for a brand collaborator. So that was really cool to see, especially because UGC and brand partnerships is something that I would love to try out in 2026. I also batch recorded a bunch of interviews for Dear Creator, which you will hear in the next few weeks. And that was really great and fun too, because that's another fun project that I'm working on, is just these types of creative projects, part of like the bigger picture. It's what is helping me build the momentum for my business and my brand, and helping me kind of connect the dots on how I want to move forward in the next few months. But yeah, I think like the biggest shift though was more like of an internal thing for me. I spent a lot of time this quarter working through some identity stuff, like who I am outside of what I create, what I'm worth, I'm not achieving my goals, things like that. And so if you're feeling any sort of tension that might seem a little similar to what I just said, just know it's part of the process. Creativity comes back when you do stop forcing it. So what can you do today to like release the reins, take a step backwards, look at the full picture? So I'm heading into 2026 feeling a lot more grounded and clear on what actually matters to me, what actually matters to progress forward, and honestly, what's worth more than any sort of like performance analytics and metrics and things like that. I do have some key takeaways. So, looking back at the full year, a few things really stand out to me that I think might be helpful for you too. So, the first is that your business can hold multiple truths at once. I launched a product, closed a program, got more stable and consistent client projects, and went viral on social media all in the same year. It's literally that roller coaster I was talking about before, but honestly, like none of those things like cancel each other out. Success isn't linear. There's no like right path to success. And it success doesn't always mean like, oh, I made $1 million today. Like success is a feeling. It's a way that we feel, and it might not look like what you think success looks like. Second is support is not optional. And this doesn't mean like go hire a team, but the quarters where I had help from like my therapist or my peers or my family and friends, or even like my content strategist coach, those were the quarters where I actually feel like I was like moving forward. I wasn't like staying stuck in my tracks. I was actually working on something, trying to achieve a goal. I was progressing. The third thing is sometimes the best business decision comes from like a life decision. So like me getting that part-time marketing gig wasn't me quitting my business, wasn't me failing in my business. It actually gave me space mentally, physically, creatively, and it did more for me than I ever thought that it could have. Taking care of my dog or going camping or even like spending time with the people I love, that all fed back into my work in ways I couldn't have planned for. And finally, you are not your output. Like your worth is not dependent on how much you create, how much you make in revenue. This is sometimes like the hardest lesson, because honestly, like I'm still learning it, but the more I untangle my worth from like my productivity or motivation sometimes, the better my work gets and the more I actually enjoy it. So if you're heading into 2026 feeling a little bit behind or like you didn't do enough, I totally get that. When I look back at 2025, I'm like, what even happened? Like sometimes it just like feels like a blur. I'd honestly encourage you to look at what you actually did do. Like what did you learn and who did you become in the process? That's the real work. And honestly, and actually, I have a free resource called Pivot with Purpose. It's a 5 episode audio course with transcripts and a workbook in Notion for free. And you can download it in the show notes or in the description. There are some like reflective questions that I guide you through to help you audit your business life, build out your vision, and also create a plan to make it happen. So if you want that, I'll link it. Okay, so we did the 2025 recap. Let's get into a January recap. Moving forward, I'll do monthly recaps as these solo entries on Dear Creator in YouTube. So I actually split these into 2 lists. I have lifestyle and business. So we'll start with lifestyle. I finally turned 30 years old. I asked for wisdom and advice on Instagram, and a lot of people said some incredible things. I'll add screenshots to what they said, and I will also list it in the description if you're just listening. But on my birthday, I did a fun little like photo shoot using Tezza, not sponsored, but it was just fun. I'm not really one to share, hey, it's my birthday, because I don't want people to just like send me birthday messages because announce that I turned a certain age or whatever. But it was really fun. And I've been like really warming up to the idea of turning 30. In that Monday, January 5th, I just felt like a switch. I was like, oh, so this is what 30 feels like, which sounds so silly, but I feel great. I'm so excited. I'm in my reading era, which I've started listening to some audiobooks because I do a lot of multitasking. Like I can listen to an audiobook when I'm doing my dishes or cleaning or do it walking my dog, whatever. And it's honestly helped a lot get into this reading era. I read 2 books and I'm reading a third now. The first one's Quicksilver by Callie Hart. And then I read her one, how like they have like little mini books in between certain series. I read her Kingfisher's POV, and then now I'm reading Brimstone. So I'm really excited. It's fantasy, enemies to lovers, fae, alchemy, and like wars, vampires. There's a lot going on. I've also been playing dress up a little bit. I feel like I'm just wearing the same clothes all the time, but I typically am like doing my makeup, doing my hair, but I'm in the market for some new clothes, honestly. But my go-to outfits in January have just been like very cozy but cute vibes. So a lot of the times I'll wear like slacks or just like black pants that are like comfy and stretchy. And then I'll wear like this jean button up, sweaters, things like that. The go-to meal for this month has been a taco salad. We've been eating more salads for dinner, but like big protein heavy salads. And so basically we put like ground beef or ground turkey in it with a salad mix, spicy ranch, and then I love to add like cheese, corn, beans, and sometimes like onion or like bell peppers. So good. Now let's move on to business. For business, the first thing that I wanted to mention is Dear Creator. I've had this huge energy boost to get into creating for the podcast. I've basically committed my whole entire existence this month on the podcast and felt extremely accomplished with just how I put it all together for this month. I've been editing it for YouTube. I've been editing it for the podcast platforms. I've written Substack articles, and I'm also posting on Instagram for it. So I'm really excited for how it's turned out, and it's been really fun. And also, we have 90 subscribers on YouTube as of right now. I mean, I started my YouTube channel like 10 years ago, and I had like 60 subscribers, but it's still cool that we have 90 subscribers. So I see this YouTube channel doing something. I'm excited. The second thing is marketing plans for quarter one. So I'm basically focusing on writing an article that influences a YouTube or a podcast, and then using that content to create Instagram posts and my newsletter. These articles originally I thought would be like on Substack, but I'm starting to think about how I can actually just build out my blog on my website, especially because there's SEO potential, but then there's also AEO potential, which is all about how AI can give consumers or users answers to things, site information whenever they're looking up a question. And a lot of businesses are starting to create that sort of content on their website or in their marketing assets to help AI pick them up as users are asking them questions. So that's kind of like what I'm focusing on and thinking of as I go into quarter one. For project management and operations, I built this system where I'm categorizing my tasks in a master list database in Notion. And so, for instance, that's like admin is a category, Dear Creator is a category, or maybe offers is a category. And then for each category, I have a master list of tasks that I need to do. And so, when I look at my calendar and I have themed days for each day of the week, I get to choose and prioritize certain tasks. But whenever I think of a new task, I just put it on that database and I can move things around if needed. How I'm supporting clients and work this quarter. I help creative entrepreneurs in their business, whether they're restructuring their offers, their business model, building content in their marketing ecosystems, and also helping them find a balance in their work and life schedules. I'm going to be building out Momentous. This is going to be all about having that one-on-one daily support for 3 months to restructure your business, build your business with marketing, offers, positioning, systems, the whole bit, the whole foundation, the whole business model. And lastly, I am focusing on UGC. So I'm actually going to try to do some pitching for this type of service. I'm not sure how it's going to go, obviously, but I just need to send one pitch and that will start helping me build the momentum for that. Now, if you've made it this far into the episode, I wanted to pull out a few actionable takeaways to help you build some momentum this quarter if you're feeling stuck or scattered or just unsure. So the first thing that I would recommend is schedule a seasonal audit for each quarter or each season of this year. So choose a day, maybe a Monday or a Friday, where you can sit down and ask yourself these questions. What needed to be released? What actually supported my goals or vision? You can let those answers guide the next quarter, the next season, and your next decisions in your business or in your life. And it'll actually help you adapt without like self-judgment or pressure. Maybe even just like right now, choose 4 days and put like some reminders on them in your calendar so you know when it's coming up so you can plan accordingly as well. And next, build stability into your business before you actually need it. I think flexibility happens when you're regulated. So what's something that you can help stabilize yourself or your business? If you're a service provider, retainers with clients for consistent work can be extremely helpful just to like have that financial foundation. So if you're a designer, maybe you offer like a monthly batch of content creation designs or something like that for a client, or newsletter designs, whatever it is, website refreshes. Another idea is like if selling is like super draining for you, maybe part-time work could really help where you can make the schedule. Like for me, I choose the days that I go into my marketing gig, but a lot of other ideas that you can do is like DoorDash or like food delivery or dog walking, or maybe work at the coffee shop in the morning and then do your work in the evening, things like that. That can really help just relieve the stress of making money. Another idea is like if you have 100 plus offers. I know how that feels. It can feel really difficult to sell. So maybe choose one signature offer to master and sell on repeat until it books out for the year, and then move on to the next. And lastly, build out a consistent schedule, whether it's through like themed days, AB weeks, or just like different sections of the day where you focus on certain tasks, and also put on do not disturb. That could really help you get into a schedule or a flow and create some structure in your business, giving yourself the flexibility to change things as needed, but don't count on changing it all of the time. All right, that is it. I hope this episode gave you something valuable, whether that was like inspiration or a new perspective or just permission to do things differently. If you're a creative entrepreneur who's burnt out from trading time for money, but know there's a better way, if you've outgrown what you've built or you're sitting on a vision you can't quite monetize, I work with people just like you. Maybe you're ready to evolve from freelancer to founder, you're craving structure without losing the creative freedom, or you're an emerging creator with visibility but no solid business foundation. If you're thinking that's me and you value intentionality and building a business that actually supports your lifestyle, just send me a DM on Instagram or visit my website. I'd love to explore working together. And if this was helpful overall, leaving a review or subscribing to YouTube makes a huge difference because it helps others find the podcast who might need to hear this too. Thanks so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.